Opening day for college baseball is Friday. Pitchers and catchers are reporting starting tomorrow across Arizona and Florida. Let's talk some baseball with Kevin Bohannon from 247Sports. You can read him there. He covers college baseball, high school baseball, Arkansas baseball as well. You can also read him the Democrat Gazette. And we appreciate you having some time for us today, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, doing good, guys. If we could get some baseball weather in, I'll be a little bit better.
Yeah, 35 degrees in Fayetteville. Got that cold rain. Man, if there's one thing I just can't deal with, I like snow. I hate the cold rain. This is not the kind of day you could play baseball in. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We'll be able. We'll get some games in this weekend. And I think right now, it'll be interesting to see if we do play 4 games, because you got 4 starting pitchers for this team with only 3 weekend spots. And the thought is all 4 of them will pitch this weekend. And it does feel like there's still 1 spot up for grabs on the weekends, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's what Coach Dave Van Horn last week when he met with the media ahead of the Shriners Showdown Classic. He said games 1 and 2 are decided, which would be Gabe Gackle and Zach Root. Game 3 we're pretty sure about, but Game 4 was kind of up in the air. And after this weekend, it kind of flip-flopped in my mind. So Landon Cheese, the man they call Cheese, went out, had another great performance. 65 pitches over 5 innings, was very efficient, walked 1, struck out 7. He did it against the reserve lineup, which this team is deeper. We know that. Cam Cozile was the leadoff. He was 2 for 3. He's 9 of his last 15. But Gage Wood, who is projected to be the Game 3 starter going into this weekend, ran into some trouble. The starters who were shut out the first game of the doubleheader on Saturday in the scrimmage just unloaded. Kendall Diggs had a 2-run home run. Rocco Pepe hit a ball 420 feet. So, yeah, those are the 4. Now you got to figure out how to slot them. And Coach Van Horn and Matt Hobbs, they've always done a good job of going by matchups. So I still think, and this is, of course, if we get 3 or 4 games in, you still have Gackle, Root, Vital Cheese kind of moves up to 3, and Wood 4 for me right now.
You know, I think a thing that stands out for me about this starting rotation, just based on what they've done before and what I've seen from Gabe and what I've seen from Gage, even in this offseason, is that it's a rotation that throws strikes. And I think that was an issue at times last year, not with Hagen Smith, but with the other starting pitchers. And that's usually going to be the first thing that gets you out or off the mound, is if you don't throw strikes. These are guys that throw strikes. They have stuff too, but it feels like you're really going to have to earn your way on base against this Arkansas starting rotation.
That's exactly right. Gage Wood last year, 56 strikeouts, only 8 walks. Gackle, we saw the stuff he was as a reliever. But you saw Saturday's first scrimmage combined, and this is out of all the pitchers, and Zach Root was the starter for one team. Carson Wiggins threw 9 strikes in 9 pitches. Cole Gibler, another freshman lefty, threw 14 strikes in 15 pitches. There were 17 combined strikeouts to only 1 walk. And that's what they preached all offseason. And you start to see these freshmen. Ross Felder was another one that's kind of moved up in the pecking order, that if you throw strikes, you're going to get on the mound. But if you walk guys, that's like you said, it's the quickest way to get off the field.
And then thinking about some of the guys that are behind them, you know, I know McIntyre looked really good the other day. And I still feel like that's somebody that this staff will lean on, even though it is a deeper, I think more talented and more experienced staff than you saw last year. McIntyre's experience in the SEC has to mean something, and his experience of being a Razorback and growing up in the state of Arkansas. You know, just another guy that I was thinking of is Aiden Jimenez. Jimenez is brand new to here. You know, he's coming from a great program at Oregon State, but I don't think he's ever been in Arkansas before. He's never pitched in the SEC previously. You know, it's like in this day and age, Kevin, where, you know, they still rely on Arkansas kids to put the program together. But you look at the roster, and there's kids from all across the country. I think it still means something to have somebody like Will McIntyre, who is, well, they'll say he's got Razorback red running right through his veins.
That's right. And a story like McIntyre that's what it's all about. It's kind of the Carson Shaddy route. Shaddy came as a walk-on. McIntyre, I can't he got much money when he got here. I know he's getting some now with the way money comes into the university, but a guy that's been there 6 years, he was on the verge of being cut, and he makes that start at Dickey-Stevens Park. You know which game I'm talking about, against UCA. Then next thing you know, he goes a complete game the next year. And the other day, everybody's been asking me, how do you see McIntyre fitting into this when you have so much young talent? And my response is easy. High-leverage situations that can turn into multiple inning relief efforts. That's the bottom line.
It's also, Kevin, you know what else it is, too, and you pay attention. Dave Van Horn trusts players, pitchers that he has trusted previously. And it's nothing against anybody else that's new to the program right now, but that's a main reason why McIntyre will get to the mound.
That's exactly right. And you can see it with a lot of guys, Kendall Diggs being another one of them. You know, Diggs coming into this year was, well, if he's healthy, he'll get on the field, but we don't know where. Well, as of this past weekend, he's in right field. He's hitting in the middle of the lineup because Coach Van Horn and Coach Thompson trust him. But back to McIntyre, he comes in with he relieved Colin Fisher. Fisher was okay, inning and 2/3. There's a runner on second and third. McIntyre gets an out. Then he continues to go out there 4 more times, goes 4 in the 3rd inning, only 2 hits, does not allow a walk, gets a few strikeouts. His ability to command the fastball at 90 to 92 on both sides of the plate has made him that better pitcher this year.
What do you think about what you've seen offensively? Will this be a team that hopefully doesn't fall into prolonged slumps?
I don't think they will, and here's why. I think the coaching staff has finally figured out what they need to do to be successful. The first 2 years of NIL, they were just kind of replicating what they've done in the past by going out and getting transfer players. If you look back to 2018 and 19, when they were leading the nation in home runs and hitting 115, whatnot, those were guys that had come through the program. So they were building those guys, and they had them for 2 or 3 years. They knew how to train them. But once NIL came here, they were trying to just, pick and choose, replace. They were doing the Moneyball thing, just replace the guy and move on, go through free agency. And while it worked a little bit, it did not work best for the team. And now they go out and kind of they drop the script and say, hey, we need to get back to a more athletic lineup where we can do various things offensively to score runs. Now, you still have some boppers, Nolan Sousa, Kendall Diggs, Ryder Helfrich. Those guys can hit the ball of the park. You've had 8 guys in the lineup that's going to start this week, and they hit a home run in the preseason. But they're also able to run the bases. And it's not just about being fast on the base path. It's about having good dirt ball reads. It's about taking advantage of a slow pitcher, laying down a bunt for a hit. It's a lot more athletic lineup, and you can see that on the field, and you can see the energy that it brings as well.
You think Kendall Diggs is going to start the season in the out? Now, I think he'll play over the weekend.
I think he'll be a DH.
You think he'll be a DH to start opening day?
I do. I think he's a DH, and then you got Maxwell in right, Thomas in left, Davalan in center.
Yeah. What do you think about the outfield?
I love Davalan. The energy and, looking at his story coming from Montreal and transferring down to Florida, living there for a couple of years, playing at Florida Gulf Coast. He's got the energy. He's got the pop. He's been dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue, but he's that type of center fielder that fits the mold of what they've had in the past. And he can put up those numbers. He can hit 11, 12 home runs, be a 40, 45 RBI guy. Really fast, good arm. He threw out a guy at third the other day by about 3 steps. That was good to see. The wild card in the whole thing is Justin Thomas. He's a bounce back from Georgia. Didn't hit all that well. If he can stay middle to right side, he's a right-handed hitter. But if he could not get pull happy and just stay up the middle, he's going to hit. And that's the one they think could really take off.
He's kind of a spark plug, is just kind of watching him a little. He'll be, to me, I can see he's batting 9th. And you know how Dave views the number 9 spot. It's that secondary or extra leadoff hitter. That Thomas, to me, fits that role perfectly. Maxwell's the guy. I'd asked Matt Hobbs, who's put together consistently the toughest at-bats against your pitchers. He said Maxwell. I know a lot. Yeah. Maxwell, I think he could have gone anywhere in the SEC. He chose Arkansas.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you got a guy that's hit 331 in a Power 4 conference like he has, honorable mention Big 12 last year, He can play a couple of positions, but when you got a guy that can lay it down for a bunt, he can hit behind runners, use the whole field, gap-to-gap power, that's the guy that you really worry about. You can see it in the at-bats. He'll get down 0-2, he'll work the count, draw a walk, move a runner over. It's the small things. He may get out, but it was a quality at-bat. And that's the things that once they can do those 3 or 4 times in a row, Coach Van Horn talks about in the SEC, it's hard to get 3 hits in a row. But if you can string together quality at-bats, that's when you start producing runs at a level that, gets you 2 out of 3 or a series sweep.
So all this is all scouting on Razorbacks, and it looks like a team that is put together really very nicely, balanced, both on the mound, righties, lefties, in the pen, speed, power, some depth as far as in the field. But all that also is, you got to think about that in context compared to the other teams you're playing, specifically in the SEC, where you got 7 of the top 15 that is on Arkansas's schedule. And, of course, Arkansas is one of those top 15, 5, 4, 3, depending on the poll you're looking at. So, the league is just as good as it ever was, or do you think the SEC is, if it could be, even slightly better than it's been previously?
I think it could be slightly better because the wild card is, of course, Texas. And you could look, they're ranked anywhere from 7th to 18th. Of course, Arkansas has them at the end of the season, but that stretch, the stretch at the end of April into May, and a lot of people, they'll be like, how does OU get an easy schedule coming into the SEC? Why does Arkansas always get a tough schedule? And Arkansas fans should know this by now, that they just don't ask any questions, just accept the way it is and go on from there. You have you have Florida, Texas, at LSU, and then Tennessee to end the year. So, and then you have Texas A&M right before that. So it's going to be tough, but you're going to have to go through these teams. And if at the end of the year, it won't be a 20-10 or 21-9 team that wins this, because these teams are going to beat each other up. 18-12 may win it this year just because of the parity in the league. Texas A&M, when Schwarzenegger left to go, to the rival, everybody thought, well, everybody's going to go with him. Next thing you know, A&M's a consensus number 1 across every poll. And they got one of the best pitchers in the nation in Ryan Prager. And they got the top draft pick in Jace Lavalette in the outfield. So it's going to be tough, but pitching, defense is going to be key. And I think they built this team to be durable. The last few years, they haven't been durable. I've always said, guys, you need 9 or 10 pitchers on a weekend if you want to win a series or win a regional. I think they've gotten to that point. If they can stay healthy, they've got a shot.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.